Well, hello again to another session of the 18th annual Transforming the Teaching and Learning Environment virtual conference. I'm Bob Hales, and you're stuck with me as the moderator. Don't forget, this year we're sponsored by the Journal of Educators Online. Has some really good peer-reviewed articles. Uh, you should take a look at it. I found it interesting. And I actually learned some things, even in my advanced age. We have with us today Cheryl Horton and Dana Friedman. Cheryl is a higher education professional, business analytics instructor. Oh, that sounds so interesting, almost. Um, she supports the integration of generative AI into academic and administrative contexts. That sounds interesting. Then Dana is a learning analyst and AI specialist who brings a data-informed, learner-centered approach to AI strategy. And her work centers on applying AI to strengthen learning design, assessment, and analytics with a focus on practical implementation and measurable outcomes. Wow. A lot of people don't worry about that, do they? They just say, oh, that sounds good. We'll implement this. And then you have no idea if you're getting anything valuable out of it. But uh, they're going to talk about the AI Toolkit collaboration and innovation in higher education. So, Cheryl and Dana, it's all yours.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, let me share my screen with all of you. We have a slide deck to share information with you and help us to stay on task and keep all of our information aligned. So we call this the AI Toolkit predominantly because we recognize that all of our faculty are coming at us from different perspectives and at different places. Some of them are still in the hesitant side of integrating AI into their courses, and others are already well into it. So we have what can be used either as a pathway, or you can pick it up at any point in time throughout the pathway and say, whatever is the right spot for each individual. So we want to introduce and share this with you guys today. Like Bob said, I'm Cheryl Horton. I'm here with my colleague Dana Friedman. We work as part of a strategy team that has put couple years now into implementing and building out this strategy that we're calling our AI toolkit. So we're going to go over with you a little bit of data behind all of the decisions we make are always data driven. So Dana will talk a little bit about where AI meets academia and the data behind that, as well as our guiding practices and the framework which we're approaching everything with. We'll go over the plan and the process, and we're really keeping blooms behind all of what we're doing when we're integrating this into our coursework. So we want to look at how we're elevating blooms and looking at different perspectives there. And then we'll also have time for any questions that you guys have for us. So with that, I'll let Dana take over.
Okay, so the AI jumped onto the scenes in fall of 22, and we kind of dove in by spring of 23. We were knee deep in the AI world. We started with looking at our assignments and pulling our assignments and putting them into AI. But everything we do in our program is based on data. And I'm going to show you some of the data that we've been looking at. So the first one is Digital Education Council Global AI Faculty Survey for 2025. This really grabbed us because it really asked a lot of the same questions that we were looking at. So this first one here is showing us how faculty are using AI every day. They're using it 75% are using it to create teaching materials. They're supporting administrative tasks, helping write those emails that we have to write to students and faculty and colleagues. We're teaching students to use and evaluate AI in class, boosting student engagement, to detect cheating, and generate feedback for students' work. So those are some of the ways they're using it. but they're not necessarily, they don't necessarily have a high level of understanding of it. Um, Only 5% believe they have are highly not knowledgeable about AI in various teaching areas. Um, and most of them land somewhere in the middle. I know several examples of AI use in teaching. Next one, Cheryl. Right. But 64% say there's that AI is it's changing the way we teach. It's changing just about everything we do, right? But it has a huge impact on education, and most faculty would agree with that. And the reason we found that data so important is because it was very much the same questions we were asking our faculty at the exact same time. How are you feeling towards AI? How familiar are you with AI and its applications? And this is a much smaller sample size. We have 13 core courses in our program, and that is the faculty we were focusing on. So less than 20 faculty were completing these surveys. How much do you agree with the following statements? These kinds of questions were what we were really looking at with ours. How familiar are you with prompt engineering? Um, how much do you agree with the following statements? Those types of things were the questions we were asking. But then we had to also look at it from the student side. Um, and 86% of students already use AI in their studies. And they're using it a lot. They're using it daily or weekly. 54% use it daily or weekly. Oops, sorry. And they're using it for everything from searching information, which is a great way to use it, 69%. They're using it to check their grammar, summarize document, paraphrasing documents, creating first drafts. 80% of students say I and their expectations are not being met. They want more. They're not getting enough. They're not understanding what is okay to use it for. And we go ahead. Um, they don't feel that they're ready for to leave school and have the AI knowledge that they need. And it's being used in industry, so they need the skills to go out into industry and be prepared. Um, and this is kind of interesting that a lot of the faculty, their reasons for not exploring AI is just time. Nobody has enough time, right? It's the only thing we can't make more of. um, so, and this one is just where they feel proficient. And most faculty is kind of right in the middle. Oops, I think we looked at this one already. Um, the students really expect the faculty to prepare them for AI. And at was it last year? We sat down and did a small focus group with Penn State students and talked to them about where they are and how much AI use they want to see, how much AI use they're getting in their class. And even in the courses that were allowing them to use AI, they still wanted more information. They wanted to know how they could use it and how they could use it the correct way that wasn't considered cheating. So they just need more. And this was a quote from the AACSB. Successful integration of AI technologies in higher education hinges on the deep understanding of faculty's attitudes and perceptions towards AI. According to a recent article, a significant barrier to AI adoption is faculty's perceived complexity and intimidation of the technology. And that's really what we're trying to overcome right now as we meet with faculty and talk to them about integrating AI into their courses. So what do we know for sure? AI is growing. Every day there's new articles, new tools, new everything. So it keeps growing. And it's very effective for learning. You can customize it. You can use it for one-on-one learning. My kids use it to build study guides and check their math problems. Today's professionals need AI skills and knowledge. That's just going to continue to grow. Student adoption is going faster than the faculty, and it's going to continue to grow. The institutions reaction to action. We're trying to answer that call and get our students and our faculty on the same page. All right, so from all that, we came up with 6 guiding practices to for our program to help us build this toolkit and encourage our faculty to use AI. Number 1 is continuous quality. The second one is the pathways, both pedagogical and the content of industry. Like if it's marketing, what are they doing in marketing? Encouraging AI use and responsible AI use is the key here. And like Cheryl said, we're building this on Bloom's. Everything that we do is off of pedagogic learning taxonomies. We have to start thinking of AI as a partner is number 5, not a way to cheat, not a replacement for the content expert, but as a partner. And learning and exploring. You have to evolve and continue to learn and explore. Let's take a look at each one of these a little more in deep. Continuous quality, the OMBA program has been built off of continuous quality since it started. We don't do major revisions every semester, but we ask that you continue to check and make changes and keep your course up to date. Quality education remains our defining purpose. AI and technology tools to support our work in course design and student engagement. And utilizing tools and technology to elevate teaching and learning is the goal. We want to prepare students for the ever-changing professional landscape, which AI has definitely changed. And there's really two pathways. The pedagogical pathway, the Blooms, the keeping all of that learning theory there, and the discipline pathway. What are we doing in industry that our students need to be aware of? What are they doing in marketing? What are they doing in supply chain and accounting with AI? We have to look at both of those. And this is probably the biggest one. Everything you hear around AI is focused on they're cheating. It has to be done responsibly, and you have to encourage and not accuse them of cheating every time they talk about using AI. It is a learning tool and it's not going anywhere. So giving them the option to use it and direction on how to use it is more of the answer than banning it completely. And we developed icons that kind of help determine the level of which AI can be used for each assignment. And above all, Blooms. We have elevated Blooms to kind of the next level. Well, we haven't, but you'll see in later slides that Blooms is changing. And those lower levels of Blooms may not be as relevant as they once were. Stuff like remember and understand may be able to be done more with AI than it currently is. And AI, whether we like it or not, it is becoming a partner. And I know it can be scary. It freaks me out sometimes when I see some of these stories that are coming out about AI, but it is a partner. And students that we have now are a little hesitant. They want to use it, but they're not sure. They're kind of dipping their toe in. The next ones, that generation that's coming behind them, are fully embracing it. They're growing up with it. They're using it in their classrooms in high school. It's going to be their partner. Okay. But it doesn't have to be the replacement for the experts in the room. We're still going to need faculty. We still need the teachers to make sure they're using it and using it correctly. All right. Keep learning and exploring is number 6. Like, this is constantly changing. My title is AI specialist. I am not an expert in this by any means. I use it, I learn, I change. Every day I am shocked with what AI can do and how it does it. So we all have to continue to learn, practice, and experiment and ask questions and um, get support from everybody around, IDs, specialists, colleagues, whoever's using it. But those are our guidelines. And each course will be different. So Cheryl is going to dive into the process and I'll let her go from there.
Thanks, Dana. So you got an idea of the data that we put into both outside external data as well as internal, primary research that we were doing that went into the necessary changes and then the framework with which we're approaching it. So let's talk a little bit about the process now and what we're doing to embed this into our courses. So like I say, we refer to this as the toolkit because everybody's coming at it from a different perspective, from a different angle, depending on where they are, both professionally as well as personally, when it comes to using AI. We have met with all of our faculty. Some of them are using it personally, but have no desire to put it in their course. Some of them are all in on putting it in their course. And some of them, like Dana mentioned, the two pathways, right? Like they're responsible for, if you're the marketing instructor, the marketing professor, how is what's happening with marketing and AI, that's their responsibility. But pedagogically, that's really where we're working with them to get them comfortable with using AI in their course and for their students to help their students learn how to use it responsibly and appropriately, that they can then take into the real world. So where we start with this is these AI icons, and I'll show you guys a little bit in depth on the AI icons. This is where everybody has icons in their course that allow them to have a say in what level students can use AI for any given assignment. And this allowed our instructional designers, our team, and the instructors to all sit down and discuss each assignment and where AI might fit into that assignment. And initially, no changes are made. It's just a matter of assigning an icon to that assignment. And then that also allows for the students and the instructors to have that conversation. And just opening up that line of communication has a tremendous impact on how the students feel in that class and how willing students are to have the conversation, to ask questions, to gain a deeper understanding for what is acceptable and what is not. We also have opportunities where we've created GPTs. A member of our team is an instructional designer, and she's done a lot of work at creating different GPTs to allow our instructors and our faculty to look at all of their objectives, whether it's a course objective or a lesson objective, and how those objectives can be elevated using AI or changed using AI. Again, we're bringing these all back to Bloom's eventually. So how are we going to elevate our levels of Bloom's by integrating AI into our course objectives? Eventually, the assignments are changing. Some people have already changed the assignments. Some people are not quite there yet. Some people are working with IDs as we speak to see how the assignments can be changed. We like to look at it as an upgrade so that the assignment is helping students learn to use and integrate AI, if it's acceptable, or how the assignment needs to be changed so that we can elevate the learning that the students have within our courses. All the work is happening with instructional designers. We have a program, an initiative that we're working with right now. We're in the middle of this initiative where we have a special group of instructional designers that are we call them our Avengers. They're our AI Avengers. They're the AI instructional designers. So these IDs have a little bit more experience with the AI, and they may or may not be the same ID that's paired with the instructors and the faculty on their courses, but they're going to help them really identify the different areas which they can elevate each of their courses. Like Dana said, we really work with a continuous quality mindset. So there's no giant revision that's happening. This is just an initiative that goes along with the continuous quality and how they're making any enhancements to their course that involve AI specifically. And again, the course content integration is looking a little bit different. That's specific to the content. So whether we obviously work in a business school, whether you work in whatever your field or your specialty is, getting that content integrated, that's a whole different level, a whole different pathway than what we're looking at from a pedagogical standpoint. And like we've said all along, continuous improvement, everything involves continuous improvement. So no matter where you are in the pathway or what phase you're working on, it's always something that can be revisited. And that's never been so true as now with the rapid advancement of AI and how it changes and grows in different opportunities, right? 2 years ago, nobody was creating a caricature of themselves. And now I feel like my social media feed is overwhelmingly full of everyone that has created caricatures of themselves based using ChatGPT or whatever generative AI tool they're doing. So as these tools are evolving and changing, so too will our courses. So all of these things that we've done and the groundwork that we've laid and the different pieces of the toolkit that any faculty can pick up with, they can always revisit it and improve it further on down the line. And we are well aware that this initiative or these initiatives will continue to evolve as well. So, like I said, right now we have these AI specialists in this initiative that we're working on, but that too will evolve as AI does. That's one thing that we're all sure of now is that this is definitely not a static project. So what do these icons look like? This really was the very beginning of creating that pathway for AI integration into the course because it was a very low stakes way for all of our faculty to get comfortable with the fact that AI is becoming a part of our overall course framework. So they did have the ability to say no Gen AI. What we really do is if they say no Gen AI, they're talking to their students about why. Why is it that they're not allowing any generative AI to be used in that assignment? And that allows students to gain a different perspective or additional perspective, even on what thought goes into the course and the assignments and the outcomes that we're hoping to achieve. So students have a better understanding if we're just by saying why they can't use generative AI of what it is that the goal is of each of those assignments. They can have guided use of AI or full use. So I'll go on to show you how we break it down further by assignments. We initially started this several years ago, and it was just, it could be a moderate, it could be no use, it could be full AI use. What we've done is we've evolved these as well to what level. It's permitted for analyzing data. It's permitted for generating ideas. So the students know along the way how it's going to be. If it's not full, however, whatever you want to do, you use it to your heart's content. It could just be for generating ideas. It could just be for analyzing data or for using grammar in your if you're writing a paper for updating that. We really try to give very targeted examples of how they can and what they can use in each assignment. So like I said initially, that allowed for us and our IDs to have deeper conversations with the faculty, but it also allows the faculty to create a safe space for the students to have better conversations with them about where they can use it, how they can use it, and then the students feel comfortable asking follow-up questions. What if I do it this way? What if I use it this way? What if I use it just for citations? Whatever. It's giving the students, they know now that they can go to that faculty and ask them those questions without being concerned that they're going to be caught in a cheating situation or that they're being targeted for cheating or anything. So it's had mutual benefits along the way. So if we were to look at this from, we call it a toolkit, right? Like there's the GPTs that we've created to help them. There's all the support between our team as well as the IDs. There is learning theory, like we've said all along, everything is backed in learning theory, even if that means elevating the learning theory, which only brings all of us who really want, the best for our students and to get the most of our class. It's really giving us an amazing opportunity here to spend less time concentrating on the lower levels of blooms and really get our courses to where we want them to be and get our students to where we want them to be, really coming in at those higher levels. We are constantly creating and updating training materials, both for our students as well as our faculty, and then people. The team that we have behind all of this really is a huge part of what our toolkit is. So having people that are specializing in and committed to these different initiatives and this whole process has made a huge difference in the faculty's willingness and acceptance and the speed at which they're adopting all of these different changes within their courses. We stay consistent. Our team, Dana and myself, and there's a few others on our team. We stay consistent. So even now, like I said, have these IDs that are specializing in AI, and they're working at this next level of continuous quality and improvement in their courses. We sat down specifically and introduced those faculty to their specialized ID. We're always there as a constant so that if anybody needs anything or anywhere, the IDs check in with us, the faculty check in with us, we're always there for them, having that our office or our team as a support tool for them. So, like I said, learning theory is essential, obviously, to what we're all doing. So we really wanted to have everything grounded in Bloom's. But what we found as we watched Bloom's is evolving and we're evolving and elevating those learning outcomes with it. So we're all familiar with the pyramid that is Bloom's, remembering and understanding being the lower levels, going all the way up to creating, evaluating those higher order thinking skills. What State did now, and this was a couple of years ago now, Oregon State looked at this and they looked at what was the distinctive human skill versus how generative AI could supplement that distinctive human skill. So if the human skill was recalling without tools, then generative AI could help supplement that by retrieving facts, by listing and defining and ordering, um, right up to, if you're looking at a higher order like elevate, where if the distinctive human skills was to reflect or to weigh ethics or context, you could use generative AI to supplement that by listing pros or cons or applying rubrics. Um, and that was kind of where it kind of stopped then. It just kind of pulled them apart and said, this is the human skill. This is where Gen AI is going to supplement it. And then as it continues and it grows, you see, let me show you Philippa Hardman comes in and she really takes a whole different outlook on this. And she is really saying we can spend less time and less effort into the lower levels, and it free up a lot of time to shift our focus upward and spend more time in the higher order of thinking. Well, one of the things though that happens here is she kind of changes it a little bit. And we felt like that was a little bit too much change. We're already asking our faculty to change pedagogically how they're approaching their objectives, how they're approaching their assessments, how they're approaching their assignments, all of these different things, right? So we didn't, and we wanted it to maintain that learning theory, but we didn't want to veer too far away from Bloom's and introduce an entirely new post-AI learning taxonomy. So what we looked at was just elevating Bloom's. And so we said if we look at Bloom's and we just say these tasks like remembering and understanding, we're going to spend less time here and we're going to lean more into the AI to support those lower level tasks. And then as we move up through applying and analyzing, humans and AI are collaborating together here. And this is where we're saying now we get to those top levels and it's human judgment and originality that are mattering most. And so we're teaching our students that when we have changed our assignments that are really putting more emphasis on creating and evaluating, their critical thinking remains essential. And so we're really taking this view as we look at how we're integrating AI pedagogically into the courses that is coming out with you as the human, you as the human student, you as the learner, you as the faculty, even depending on the conversations that we're having, the critical thinking and our human element remains essential in getting to all those higher levels. And like I said earlier, that's really allowed us to open up and have more opportunities to get our students to the higher level skills. So I'll use my own course as an example here. Like Bob was saying, I teach, business analytics courses, which some people think is absolutely riveting. I think it is. Not everybody does, but it does give me an opportunity to get away from the how to and a lot quicker to the, well, why? How are we using the analysis that we're doing to make better business decisions? And I get my students to making better business decisions much faster because I can lean into the AI for the lower level, how to get there, how do you do the thing, how do you perform the analysis, and now get to so what? So what does it mean? And so where do we take it? So that's ideally what we're really trying to get all of our faculty in all of our courses to take our students to that next level a little bit faster. So with that, we've left about 10 minutes or so for you guys to ask us questions. Let me stop my share so that it's easier for everyone to ask. And we can open it up for you guys. I see a couple of things in the chat too, so you guys can unmute and ask, or we'll go off of the chat what's there. And yeah, we're happy to share our presentation. Absolutely. Examples for acceptable use in a class. That definitely varies by instructor, what their comfort level is. I can tell you that we do in my courses, we let students use it for background information. We let students use it for creating citations. And a nice thing, we just had a conversation earlier today, actually. Nice thing about using it for citations and encouraging students to use it for citations is it helps us to really highlight with students hallucinations, highlight where sometimes the AI will make up articles that don't actually exist. And so it gives us an opportunity to show them how important it is if they're using it for their research to truly identify that that source exists. It's not enough to just say, well, the AI said that this article said this. We expect them to go find the article. It's to make sure to verify all of the sources, to verify what it says. I recently just heard on the news about how people were using AI to plan their vacations, and it was sending them to places that didn't exist. There was like hot springs in Australia that don't exist, and people are continually showing up to local pubs and asking where how to get to these hot springs. So things like that, that as AI is growing in use, whether it's personally or professionally or academically, it's important for us to teach the students that they need to verify what's being said. So by saying you can use it for your citations, you can use it for your research, it's helping them identify that they need to check, they need to validate, they need to verify what is happening there. Um, and so as far as reflection, absolutely. So one, it always needs to be cited. So when they cite their AI, what I ask of my students is I don't want them to just say that it was ChatGPT. I want the link to their specific chat. And that helps a couple different ways. One, I can see how they're interacting with the the generative AI tool, whether it's Copilot or ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. I can see how they're interacting with it, and then I can give them feedback on perhaps better ways to engage with the tool. It also helps me to see if I see students asking a lot of the same questions. It helps me identify perhaps areas in my own course that I might need to add supplemental material, whether it's for the overall course or whether it's just that specific iteration. Maybe that class is struggling with a specific content. I know that I should go back and put more emphasis on that area of the course. So it gives me a lot of additional information by asking them to cite their specific chat as opposed to just the tool that they used. I do a lot of teamwork that's done as a presentation. So I ask students to record themselves in Zoom. All of them need to be on camera and speaking or whatever. So if they do use generative AI, if they've used it for research or for background information or for whatever, I ask them to reflect on how they used it and or how they didn't use it. If they, used it in some ways but thought better not to use it in others. And I ask them to talk about how they felt that it it helped them in their presentation and in their work getting prepared for one of the courses I teach has to do with international travel. So if they looked up additional information on the businesses that they were visiting, I want them to reflect on if it prepared them or if it didn't prepare them and that kind of thing. So I think reflection is key there because it gets them, again, part of what we're teaching, it's not just using it for your class, but it's how to use it and how to use it responsibly. So it gets them thinking about that when you're asking them to reflect. Did you want to add anything to that, Dana?
I think you got it.
And do you guys have other questions for us?
Yeah, I think I have a question. This is sort of uh, what you share here is fantastic, and I thought about this too, and this makes a lot of sense. The challenge that I see for many of us is that this requires such a major reorganization of our teaching, and that the workload um, is considerable. And we've been changing our teaching for a while now, right? So there I've been teaching for 20 years, and I remember that one of the first scares came with online education and the MOOC courses that threatened to, for a while, to stabilize higher education. And then we struggled with online learning. Then came COVID that really forced it on us. Um, and in many ways, all past notions of the sage on the stage are long gone. But this really takes it to another level, and I think for a lot of faculty that have made minor adjustments on the margins to really sort of otherwise stick to a familiar model of professorial authority in the classroom, this really upends this, I think, entirely. And what do you hear from people about the sort of support that they receive, not just by being able to listen to folks like you, but also, um, I mean, do universities sort of financially incentivize the kind of changes that are necessary to keep higher education alive in this context?
So that's a lot of yes, yes, and yes, and. So yes, and what as far as financially, that we've been to quite a few different conferences, and that looks different at every university. Um, the reality is, though, there has to be some financial commitment from the university, just from a standpoint of how are you interacting with the tools, right? So whether you use something like a Boodlebot or if you're getting each an individual platform on its own, some universities are working in silos. Some universities have an overarching, the everyone is committed to doing the same thing. It just looks so different in every context and every individual that we encounter along the way. But financially, there's to some degree, there are financial commitments that are being made from your point about the transition of teaching, right, sage on a stage versus that's a huge thing that we in all of the faculty that we're working with, and it's been a couple of years now that it's been a process, right? So very few went from zero to integrated. And a huge part is that these faculty and myself included, we're used to being the expert in our field. We have the knowledge and we're sharing that knowledge with our students. Well, now in comes AI and we're all learning at the same pace. Sometimes our students are learning faster than us. And so there's a level of stepping outside of our comfort zone now where we're admitting to learning alongside our students, and we don't have all of that knowledge. And so and Dana, you can disagree with me if you think, but I think that that's been a huge barrier for us is getting the faculty to feel comfortable. And that's a big part of why we create that very distinct divide between pedagogy and your course content. We're not going to touch your course content. That's up to you how you want to integrate that. we're going to look at pedagogically, how can we adjust and what pivots can we make? And we're going to make them slight and small. And part of starting with those icons, like I said, it allowed that conversation to happen between instructional designers and faculty. But it also, because it makes it comfortable for the students to have the conversation, that helps to increase the demand in the faculty's eyes. The demand can see that the students or the faculty can see that the students want and need that information from them. So helping them realize that they have to figure it out sounds a little bit harsh, but they have to grow with it. That's been tremendously helpful. What do you think, Dana?
Well, I think another part of it is it's not a whole, we're not saying totally revamp your course from A to B and everything in the middle. It's find a pain point, find an assignment that they struggle with, find something that you've been wanting to change and work from there. It's just little chunks, and we've done that from the beginning. Here's AI, try this, look what you can do with this. And it's just, we just keep feeding it to them a little bit at a time. And that's what we're asking them to do with our course now, is just small little chunks. Look at your objectives. If you don't know where to start, look at your objectives and see what maybe you can change there with AI.
Yeah, and that to your point about the workload that is involved in that, that does seem to have helped tremendously, right? Like, because if it's something that they already are saying, oh, I wanted to change that assignment anyway, or my students, we met with a faculty member earlier today, actually, that was saying in his feedback surveys, his students are saying that the workload is too much, it's too heavy. And so he is now where he's saying, so can we maybe use AI and let's look at this and see how can we get all of the same learning accomplished without such a heavy workload. So that's where he wants to go down, the path that he wants to go down. So it is, and it's different for every instructor. Um, have any of you guys in this room, have you worked with Notebook LM? And you can put it in the chat or give a thumbs up or anything. Notebook LM is like a there we go. So yeah, you guys are familiar with it. That's been like a gateway, like I hate to say it, a gateway drug, but it's kind of like a gateway, right, for AI, where once when we have faculty that are really hesitant, when we expose them to Notebook LM because they can see how it creates the podcast, how it creates a slide deck, it creates different, infographics. And that's a small way that's exciting and fun to see what it can do. And it's specific to just the information you put in, just the information in your course. And it will create little videos and it will help create different quizzes or different flashcards or help students with study guides. And that seems to be a really good just play with this, start here and see how you can help your students learn that way. Liz,
Yeah, so sorry, I had a question.
please.
But maybe I caught a little bit of it on your presentation. I didn't know if you had more. I liked how you had images where it says, like the no AI, and then you had generating ideas, analyzing data. How many different because then you kind of talked about, well, you can use it for grammar or writing. How many different levels do you have? And then did you just kind of create visuals in each of those in order to show students the different ways they can use it?
Yeah, so and different instructors use different icons, but what there's there was a whole set initially that was like way too many, right? So what we ended up going down to was just a few icons, but what is more important is there's always a drop down box. And so the drop down box will give in detail what they can and cannot do, right? So students are and the way that our online MBA works is it's 13 core classes, and they're all designed to look very similar structurally, right? So every assignment that you look at has an icon. And so all the students know, they know what those icons are, they know what those icons mean, and they know if it's, if it's a data icon, you can use it to, I go to data all the time because that's where I teach. So those are the ones that I, right? So, but if it's a data icon, like you cannot use it. You can never upload your data and say, do this analysis for me because I'm teaching you how to do the analysis, right? However, if you don't understand the R code or if you don't understand the error that you're getting or you can't remember what formula to use in Excel, you can absolutely use it for that. So it'll go into that kind of detail, right? If it's an Excel assignment, it'll say you may not use it to do the work, but you may use it to help you with the formulas. You may use it to help understand what this function does. So it gives them that level of detail. And again, that's been helpful too, because as you're sitting down and talking with your instructional designer to pinpoint where I want them to use it and where I don't want them to use it, all of those conversations are really helping the faculty get more comfortable with one, what it can do, but two, where their comfort level lies and how it can fit into their courses. So
So
it's
how many have you narrowed it down to? If you had a whole bunch, how many do you have?
we're down now to just three.
Okay.
It is, and there's no, we don't say no AI anymore because the reality of it is AI is now integrated into so many, like you can't type in Google, the very first response that comes up is AI, right? So we just say the first level is integrated AI because we can't, I mean, realistically, you can't say no AI. It's on your phone, it's everywhere.
Well, we've been just collecting data. So we have students completing generative AI disclosure statements at the end of assignments.
Yes.
And so we're just we're at the stage where we're just collecting that data to look at how of self-reported
Yeah.
AI use to then better create these kind of tools. So
Yeah.
there's a lot, yeah. So kind of narrowing down and figuring out what is
If
the
you
best direction to
have
go.
the time or the resources, Dana and I were so fortunate. Her and I together did a project where we sat down with students and we did several focus groups with the students. We learned so much information from them and right down to if they don't feel safe, they won't report it,
Right.
right? Or they'll say, well, yeah, I'm using it for my citations, but I would never think to report that. Like, that's just a given, right? Like, so even that aspect of like, well, Grammarly is not really AI, right? Well, yeah, it kind of is, right? Like, so what they think AI is versus what they don't, versus whether they will report it or not report it. It was tremendously insightful to talk to the students in a safe space. And when we did that, neither of us taught the classes, any of the classes that they were in. So they felt like they could be 100% honest with us. So if you could do that, I recommend. And you have a nice pool now too. Like if they're disclosing it, like who is, and even throw in the ones that aren't too and ask them why not.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Hello, I have a quick question. This is Debbie Shingledecker. And I've been in the process of revising every single one of my classes that I can govern the instructional design for this, because I think this is such an important topic, and we have to. We can't leave them behind. But anyways, so that's why I had to attend your session today. But you had mentioned the AI citation, and when I was listening to you, I'm like, now what is it that you're talking about? I'm like, well, does that mean I can go and see their chat
Mhm.
like thread? So I looked it up in the middle on Copilot and know it's about the AI the honesty clause. Is that what you're referring to? And if so, what are some of the questions that you're asking in your AI use note that they have to include?
So what I actually have them do is, yeah, you can share your chat. And so I have them share their chat. So I can see their thread of what they actually said, what their prompt was, what it gave back, any follow-up questions they asked. That's part of the citation that I have them include.
And that's actually like if they're using Chat GTP, then you can literally go into their prompts and see their inner.
Yep.
Because I asked that to Copilot and it said that it couldn't do that. I didn't ask Chat GTP.
I don't think Copilot does that.
I think if they use
Okay.
Copilot, what they do is most of my students don't use Copilot, but
Okay.
I
I
think what they
usually
do,
don't. I just it was the easiest for me to access right now to answer that.
yeah, no, but you can still, because I think last summer I had a student that used it and he would just screenshot it
Okay.
because
Yeah,
they
because
knew I wanted,
I am asking them to, I want the
yeah.
documentation, copy paste it, whatever, share it in the document with me. But okay, so when they're citing, say, and I assume Gemini they could too, but
Mhm.
ChatGPT, um, they put it in a citation or they just share the link with you and then you can go into it.
Exactly,
Okay, this
exactly.
is great to know. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and sometimes what I do is I have very specific questions where I want them to use AI to do something specific because I want that it's, built into what I want them to learn or to use it for. But other times I'll just tell them as a quiz question, use AI to better understand something from the lesson and then share that chat with me. And then that's where I get a lot of insight into if I see a lot of students asking the same questions about my lessons, then I know, oh, maybe I should spend a little bit more time discussing that topic. So it's been tremendously insightful for me as well as helping them to interact a little bit more comfortably with the tools.
Well, we are out of time. This is really interesting. We could go on much longer. Maybe what kind Chandra's got a nice avatar talking about AI. Eventually, I can see Zoom meetings be all avatars, right? It'd be great. I can go take a nap. My avatar could be in the meeting. Yeah, sounds like a good deal. So anyway, and Deb, hi Deb. I remember you from last year. You don't forget
Yeah,
that
Bob, I
name.
was thinking, is that you? And it is you. So great to see you. And this is not Pashy's. Is this Pashy's?
Well, yeah, I'm long past that.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
retired now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, great, great. I mean, this is a great lineup, by the way. You'll be seeing me.
Well, thanks. We have so far today we've had some really good presentations. So we have one more to go today. So I hope you'll stay around. Let me stop the recording.